Hey, welcome to DM Talk. I'm Henry Knight. Just to remind everyone that tomorrow or next week, not tomorrow, next week, July 20th, 8 p.m. Central, we have Campaign 2, Episode 4. Jean, one of our players, for work, he went out of the country. He came back. He will be at the game next Saturday. He is playing Rasputin, an Owlin. I'm excited for him to return. I'm excited for the game. So please join us 8 p.m. Central, July 20th. Now, without further ado, DM Talk. Tonight, we have a special stream. And we're going to talk about OSRs versus Dungeons and Dragons. Now, we all know what OSRs are. OSRs is old school Renaissance. For those of you who don't know the definition of OSRs, what makes OSRs so challenging and so enticing is the difficulty. What I mean by that is there are OSRs, for example, of the day, the Black Hack, a wonderful OSR, and Into the Odd. Go online, check them out. Tell me what you think in the comments. Let me know what your deal is with OSRs. Do you like them? Don't like them? Do you like the 5e? Now, I'm comparing them to Dungeons and Dragons 2014 5e. Now, the new one, the 2024 version of Dungeons and Dragons, is coming out. The Player's Manual, DM's Guide, Monster Manual, and so forth. We're not going to get into that, but we're going to get into 5e as a whole, 2014. And a buddy of mine and at work, we were talking about what attracts people, players, fans to 5e. What attracts them? I mean, what is so good about 5e? Let me know in the comments. If not now, later on. No, I always check it and I will respond as soon as I can. But think about it. What do you like about it? What's so wonderful about 5e? And tonight, that's what we're going to talk about. First of all, let's talk about, before we continue on Dungeons and Dragons, OSRs, or 5e, let's talk about OSRs, old school Renaissance. What makes OSRs good? Now, this is not just a game; it's a movement. It started in 1970. Okay, old school gaming, where you have your abilities, you roll for your abilities one by one. Whatever you get, you get. You don't get another turn. So if it's a shitty roll, it is a shitty roll. Doesn't matter. You go from one ability to another. An OSR from back in the day, you roll for everything pretty much. Yeah, you can do the same thing for the new version, but there's other avenues you can take. Now, OSRs, believe it or not, they pack a punch, because if you have low hit points, you will die in the game. Just a matter of time, and it might be within the hour. Is it fun? Hell yeah, it's fun. What's the draw to that? Why do people love them? Why do people like OSRs? Well, let's get into it. It's the difficulty aspect of it. The fact that you could die quickly, the danger aspect is there. A buddy of mine is running Maze Rats, and Maze Rats, very cool. We made characters for it. It's a 2d6 die system. You roll, and you roll badly, you will get killed. My character has 6 hit points. That is ridiculous. That's what an OSR is. That to me, that's the draw of an OSR. The danger is there. Now, you can say in 5e, let's go to Dungeons and Dragons 2014. In 5e, there is danger as well. Yes. If you are level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. After that, your hit points go up and up. And I'm not saying OSRs, the hit points don't go up, but they're not going to be at 40 or 50. You're healthy, you're chunky. So now the creatures have to be a little bigger, stronger. Their armor class has to be higher in order for you to have some form of challenge. See, I just said that OSRs, they bring a challenge. And I'm not saying that the Dungeons and Dragons now, they don't have challenges. They do have challenges. It's up to DM to do that. But let's face it, there is absolutely no comparison to OSRs and as a whole and Dungeons and Dragons. Now, 2024, I can play the Black Hack in comparison to 5e. There isn't any comparison. Want to know why? Because the other one, the OSR, you'll die quick. You cannot do the crazy shenanigans that you do in 5e because you're dealing with challenges that you may not face in 5e. And if, let's say, you're going up against a dragon. Now, mathematically, that dragon is not going to be as chunky as it will be in the OSR. It'll have less hit points. The AC will be way low, but it's very different. Because mechanically, it has to be balanced for the game. There's nothing wrong in playing a difficult game. My allergies are pretty bad today, sorry. So, an OSR, as a whole, already, you're rolling for each stat. In Maze Rat's strength, dex, and I believe wisdom, if I remember correctly, yes. Yeah. I got a +2 in strength. I was going to bring my character up, but if I can remember. I have a +2 in strength, and I believe I have a modifier also in dexterity. And what does that do for you, and what does that do for me? What does that do for you as a DM? We had a little challenge, and we fought goblins, and the goblin hit me twice. I have 6 hit points. He hit me for 2 hits each time. It's pretty powerful. Pretty powerful situation, isn't it? OSRs, they are a game designed to give you challenge. Okay, they're difficult. Equipment. When you buy equipment, you don't buy it, you choose it. Choose a handful of equipment. 10 slots you have. That's it. What does that tell you? It tells you got to be pretty smart in what you pick. Oh, you don't have a rope, a bedroll. You don't have a lantern. You don't have a flask. You don't have whatever it is. You don't have things that is going to help the party out. So guess what? You're going to face some challenge, and the challenge is going to be extreme, because when you dungeon crawl in an OSR, you better have your partner's back. When you dungeon crawl in an OSR, if a guy is up front taking point and you don't back him up in the OSR, you are done for. It's not like 5e. Oh, I can disengage. Ooh. Wait a second. I can hide. In an OSR, it doesn't matter. Fight or flight. Period. In Maze Rats, there's you have a shield. You have a light shield and you have armor. Shatter. So when the target hits you, you can say shatter. You have your shield up. The shield breaks, but it protects you from being killed. It's all strategy. It's fun. That's what it is. I think the community as a whole, Dungeons and Dragons community, it's wonderful because these books, these third-party books are coming out and they're doing a great job in competing with Dungeons and Dragons, and especially OSRs, because they bring challenge, they bring another way of role-playing. Yeah, but that's the way I role-played when I was a kid. I didn't know anything better. When I was young, Dungeons and Dragons, it wasn't like it is now. You try and play the white box and see what happens. Good luck. I guarantee you there's going to be character death within the first hour of the game. And it doesn't matter if you try to hold back as a DM. You roll good, you roll good. And you're going to shatter, you're going to decimate your opponent, or in this case, the players, which I said the wrong thing. They're not my opponent. They're just, in general, the party. The creatures are going to decimate the party because that's just the way it is. When you play games like 5e, and I was talking about OSRs, let's go to 5e. In 5e, you make your character. You have your background, a very extensive background. It's beautiful. You could choose so many source books, pick what you want, pick your armor class, not armor class, armor. Of course, under the guiding light of the DM. DM says, okay, you can only pick common weapons. And even the common weapons in Dungeons and Dragons 5e 2014 version is very powerful. You're basically a superhero. Yes, you are. After level 5, the difficulty level for a DM when it comes to encounters, you got to be pretty slick. You can't just say, oh, I want to throw, just because you're in a haunted house per se, I want to have zombies and a bunch of ghosts and a few things here and there. It's probably not going to work, and the party is going to destroy all your creatures, and it's going to happen at a very incredible rate, a fast rate. Why? Because when you sit and you make these characters, they're extremely powerful. How much does leather armor give you? How much does chainmail give you? You have an AC of 15 and 16. You have an armor class of 15 and 16. That's too much. You know what my AC is before Maze Rats? 8. Yeah. 8. The opponent, the creature, needs to get an 8 or over to hit me, right? And the damage is determined by whatever you have left. So if you hit over an 8 and you get a 12, so you have 3 points of damage. So you take that 12 and you go down. So you have 3 points of damage. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? What does that tell you? It tells you if you have 6 hit points, you already got nailed for 3. Oh, by the way, in that game I was telling you about, Maze Rats, if you get 2 6s and 2d6, that's double damage, an outright kill. You better hope that the DM's not rolling good. What does that mean for me? What does that mean for you when you're playing these games? And that was just an OSR. That's just one. There's all other games I've played where you have very little, slim pickings. I've played one where magic is very deadly, and I wasn't the magic user, but the person in the party was, and it's kind of like almost a GOT where they, in that type of world, a lot of more humans. There's not a lot of elves or anything like that. It's not high fantasy. It's very realistic. It's more of a Renaissance type of deal. You have more humans than anything else. But magic, it's more like, you're dealing with a devil and so forth. It's all evil. So that's the type of world you're getting into, and it's very dangerous when you're role-playing that world. Now, let's go back to 5e. I've talked a lot about the OSR. We know how dangerous it is. Now, compared to 5e, tell me what danger can a player character, if you're playing the monk and all these abilities that you have, all these feats, you have a list of feats, a list of things that could bring your character out more than the monk. A monk, to me, is a person who is a martial artist, who knows martial attacks, punch, kick, step of the wind. That's one of the abilities of a monk that can do stuff like that. Amazing. You can knock a person prone. Cool stuff. That's what a monk does. Close quarters, close combat. Monks are kick-ass. Now in 5e, you have a paladin, a monk, and it's typical classes for D&D. But what makes them so powerful in comparison to the old school games, OSRs, is the fact that they have so much at 5th level. Heck, at 3rd level, they have so much. And I'm not saying that you could take away those feats, those weapons, that armor. No, take them away. Strip everything away. I'm not saying that. I love 5e. But in comparison to OSRs, there's absolutely you can't compare it. Because OSRs they're difficult. If you don't rest, roll a hit die. Yeah, you get your measly little, few hit points here back. And the DM does a random creature roll, and boom, another attack. Now you got to go back into combat. Or if you got a big party, half the group takes care of the creatures while the other half stand back and continue resting. Or maybe they're asleep. Maybe they didn't wake up to help out. Those are the things in 5e that it makes it cool to play. You have a party, and that party takes care of, they work together, just like any role-playing game. You work together, but the difference is in OSR, you really have to watch your players back, your friends back, because if not, If not, it's going to be detrimental to 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 the party. I mean, everything is going to be. I mean, think about it. You can die easily if you know your front guy is going to die. Then you better hope you get a healer, have a healer. And some OSRs, like the one I'm playing, one of my slots for my equipment, I got medicine. It gives you 3. And after you have combat in an OSR, you better heal, because that's the best way to do it. Now, in D&D 5e, in 5e, you get hit. You have 30, 40 hit points. You have one combat scenario. You get hit with 15, and you got 40, you got plenty of hit point. You move on, baby. That's what you do. But what if you get hit and you have 6 hit points, and out of those 6, you have 1 left over? Now that changes the whole scenario, doesn't it? It changes everything. You have 1 hit point left. So now you're going to be very watchful. You're going to tread lightly wherever you go. Not in 5e, where you're level 3, level 5, whatever. I'm going to stick at 5. So you're going to go into town and you're going to act, we're the heroes. Nobody can stop us. Yeah, all 8 of you. Powerful bunch. If you average 20 hit points, 30 hit points, and you have 8 players, that's a lot. What type of challenges DM have to use to throw out at the party members? It's got to be big, because they have a lot of hit points. Now, the armor class is big too. When you have an armor class of 14, 15, 16, you're good. But when you have an armor class of 8, 6, 7, that changes everything. And how do you deal with all that? How do you deal with that as a player? Sure, you have to role play, number 1. And 2, you got your party's back. You watch your party. You back them up. Never break up your party. Oh, we're going to split up. Never split your team. Stay with them, especially in the OSR. You want to make sure you're together. And you do things together. Because once you split up, you're done. I've lasted pretty good in OSRs. I came close a couple times to dying, but you can get nailed real quick. And the game that I'm playing, whenever we play, hopefully next week or the week after, he did say a couple weeks, but that game is, I don't know. That game is going to be rough, but I'm excited for it, and it's going to be a cool thing. Now, let's go back to the difficulty of OSRs in comparison to 5e. And like I said, me and my friend were talking about this. And in 5e, you're chunky. You're chunky. You know, nothing can kill me. But in OSRs, you're not. Everything kills you. And that's almost like real life. You can die. So, but it's just a game. Both of them are just games. One is more difficult than the other. Now, old school players like myself love the old ways, love the OSRs, because as much as we love 5e, as much as we like to play a superhero game, and I call it superhero because Dungeons and Dragons 5e is, because of how powerful the characters are. They go from level 1 to 20. Some OSRs don't even, they definitely don't go up to 20. Some go only to 8, to 10. That's it. They don't need to go anything. They don't need to go that high. Why? Why do you need to have high levels when you could drop it down to about 10 or maybe 8th level? Why not? It's still fun when you play the game of Dungeons and Dragons. You want challenge, right? And when you're not getting challenged because you're beefy like 5e, you think you could kill everything, every creature that comes at you. And sometimes, hey, as a DM, you have to really bring some challenge. But OSRs, in the beginning, you're going to get that challenge. And even if you go up levels, you're still going to get a challenge, because that's what brings people to OSRs, is that continue challenge. And I'm not saying in 5e you can't do it. You can do it. You could run a game between 1 and 20 and still have a challenge, but it's going to be harder, way harder for a DM to bring out that challenge, especially if you have a big party. If you have a big party and you average, if they're like level 8 per se, right? Level 8, and you've got 7 players, 9, or let's say 9 players. 9 players, you better have some challenge, because if not, they're going to take that creature and go, I'm done. And guess what? Guess what's going to happen? You're done. That's it. Move on. Next encounter. That's just the way it happens. And when you're playing 5e and you don't have that challenge at higher levels, and as the DM, you don't give your players that challenge, it's going to be boring. You have to give them challenge. And that's why people go back to OSRs, because no matter how high you are in a level, in OSR, like I said, some OSRs, they don't go to level 20. They don't even deal with that. But OSRs, man, you go up a couple levels, there's still a challenge no matter what, because it's all a fight to survive. Survival is the number one thing. Number one thing to survive in an OSR, you watch your partner's back no matter what. If you got somebody going in point, make sure you have their back. If you're a healer, make sure you're there. Seriously. Don't split the party up. Do not do that. I know a lot of guys do that. We're going to role play. Look, man, there's time for role playing in the OSR. But mostly, you're going to be dungeon crawling, man. You're going to be going in that dungeon. So what you're going to do is you got to make sure that you watch your brother's back. You got to watch your partner, because those creatures are deadly. And got to remember, those creatures, they are going to be balanced to the OSR. You can't compare an OSR to 5e. And the reason why I call 5e superheroes, because yeah, they're beefy, but you can't compare them because, they're very powerful. 5e player characters are very powerful. OSR player characters in that system, like the Black Hand or Into the Odd, they are powerful, but in their own way. But the challenge, the difficulty is there, and it continues hitting you hard, one after another in an OSR. In D&D 5e, no. Oh, hang on a second. Let me look at my magic. Hell no. That would not happen in the OSR. You don't have a list of magic like that. No way. A mage from a 5e would look at a player in a mage in an OSR, and he'd be like, excuse me? You're nothing. Here, carry my coat for me, please. That's the way it would be. I mean, you got to look at both and say, you know what? I am playing an OSR for the difficulty, for the fun, for the challenge. I'm an old school player. I love challenges. I do. I rolled so shitty last time that my strength was very low, and I role played like my fighter was strong. We played the white box Dungeons and Dragons, and that is tough. It is. It is tough. But instead of going back to the core, I think the Dungeons and Dragons is going in the wrong direction. And it's just my opinion. And I don't mean that in a bad sense. I'm just saying that, look, you can still play fantasy. You can still play fantasy. I love fantasy. I love Dungeons and Dragons. I love other games. I play a lot of games. But the core of fantasy is challenge, is difficulty. If somebody said, Henry, I'm going to run 5e, I'm in. I'll play. I'm probably going to play a paladin. Oh, paladins are beefy. Yeah, they are. Divine Smite. Can I say more? All right. They are very beefy. But that's cool. That is fantasy. But OSRs, man, I'm telling you, when you have 6 hit points, 8 armor class, and you have very little items, and you have a choice that's not even a paragraph, and you're like, what? What am I picking? A flask. Wait. Rations. I had to ask the DM, my buddy, I go, Anthony, these rations, it says 3. Is it 3 per slot or 1 group? And he goes, no, it's 1 group. I'm like, whew, I have 10 slots here. I'm sweating. You know, you have, I picked rations, a metal spike, a bedroll, medicine, a rope, just stuff like that. And that's 6 items, 6 items I picked. And then, of course, your weapons, your shield that you get for free, your armor, light armor that you get for free has to be part of those slots. So now you have 10 slots, right, for equipment, and 2 of those are light armor, light shield, and my beautiful 2-handed weapon, my dagger, and all the stuff I just mentioned. So already you're in a handicap. I mean, because we're so used to playing 5e, where you're like, oh, equipment, click, what do you get? Oh, wait, I have all that stuff. How much can you carry in your backpack? Really? Okay, so you have a backpack of all those items on your back, and your sword, and then your other sword, and then your bow, and your crossbow, and then your nifty little handgun over here. Pistol, if you're a gunslinger. I mean, what the heck? You have all these things that you're carrying in 5e. And you're ready. And you're ready to attack. You're ready to go. But in an OSR, there is no ready. You just go. You get what you get. And if those slots are used, that's it. You can't carry anymore, because realistically, you have a sword, you have a backpack, you have those things. You can't carry anymore. Just the way it is. Now, you could look at everything that encompasses 5e. You have your magic, you have your feats, and feats are incredible. The lucky feat, for example. Really? Okay, you get to re-roll. Boop. Oh, I missed. Re-roll again. You can't do that in OSR. You can't. you can compare an OSR to 5e. You can compare different things and what they do, what's wrong about them, what's good about them. You can compare both games, and you could come up with pretty nifty comparisons. But you could also say that one is extremely difficult and the other game, like 5e, is extremely easy because you have a bunch of feats, weapons, equipment available to you. And depending on what class you're playing, if you're at 3rd level, you pick your subclass and you get a lot. It's very, very advantageous. And when you're playing a fantasy world and you have all these things, so you're fighting a creature and you're like, hang on, dragon. Let me pick my other weapon. Oh, I don't like that one. Oh, wait, I got a bonus action. What? OSRs don't have that. They got one action, period. Bonus action. What the heck is that? Oh, wait. A thief has cunning action. Really? What the heck is that? In OSR, that doesn't happen. You get one, period. That's it. That's what makes it difficult. That's what makes it exciting. At higher levels in 5e, you get like, oh yeah, got these weapons, want to pull them out, want to do all these things, yeah, want to do all these flips and bam, bam, bam. I want to use some magic here, maybe do a little this here. No, you have all that stuff in 5e. And is it amazing? I'm beefy. Oh yeah, don't worry, you hit me for 30. I'm still alive. I got 40 left. Really? Is that good? It might be. I mean, for some people, it might be. I think what, and a buddy of mine and I were talking about this subject is that's enticing. People like to be beefy. People don't want to lose hit points. I want to keep my hit points. Ooh, I want to go into a bar or a tavern or an inn or a fight, a brawl. I don't want to get hit. Yeah. No, you don't. Come on, man. You don't want to do that. You want to go into a location, kick all forms of ass, and come out and say, oh man, I barely made it. That's fun, isn't it? It is. It is fun. Oh, I almost died. And in campaign 2, episode 1, the party dropped almost 4 times. They were scared. And you know what? It's cool. It's very cool. Excuse me. So yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool that they dropped because you got to bring a lot of challenge to them, and healthy fights like that is great. They didn't die, but they dropped. There was a healer that kept healing them, yada, yada, yada. It's fun. Now, in OSR, you drop, you're done. Period. There is no, I went past, I went to 0. I got to make a death save. You are at 0 hit points. It's bye-bye. In OSR, you are dead. There is no, oh, well, if I meet my, if I have 40 hit points and let me see if I make it. No. Gotta make a death save. No. You're dead. Period. You're dead. That's just the way it is. And most people cannot deal with that, so they go to 5e. Period. People are drawn to 5e because they live longer. And it's fun. They want to see what they can get power level wise from level to level. Oh man, I want to get that level 12 feat, or that level 12. I want to bring my ability up, or that level 12 subclass that comes with this new whatever. So it's amazing to me because no matter what, role playing is what it is. It's role playing. and people interact. People get into the scene, they play their character. That's role playing. That is the core of role playing. Granted, the mechanics, the rules, all that is part of role playing, yes, but also it's role playing. How you role play your character, how you interact with other players, and those players, they are all a part of it. They are your friends, they're your family in the game, and that's what makes up role playing. The camaraderie that you have with those people in that game, from the DM and on, because to me, when you have these games, and these games suffer, OSRs as well, and 5e, all of them in general, they suffer from one thing only. They suffer from, well, you're not role playing right, damn it. You're supposed to be a paladin, you're supposed to be a rogue, but you're being a nice guy, and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Well, you're not. Follow the script of that character class. If you're a rogue, play like a rogue. If you are a cleric, play like a cleric. Not just the danger aspect of the game, the challenges that you'll face, that the DM will throw at you, depending if you're playing OSR or D&D 5e. It doesn't matter. You have to role play that character to the best of your ability, because that brings out that character. If not, it's just going to be in a book, one of those source books. It's just going to be in there. Oh, a rogue. It's a text with information that says rogue, what the rogue does, how many feats the rogue gets, or what you can get for feats, the abilities of the rogue, yada, yada, yada. So when all that, it's up to you as a player to give life to that character, to give life, to bring that life into the game, in OSRs or in D&D 5e. An OSR cannot be as dangerous as it is if the DM doesn't construct the story. He develops that story, brings that story to the table. And the players, they come out. And the players, they are drawn to that story. So yeah, you can say these games are dangerous. On the left side, you have the OSR, and you have D&D 5e. It can be dangerous as well, because it all depends on the situation that the DM puts out for you. And that is 100% role playing. If you could have a dangerous game of 5e and still challenge your players and still creatively give them an experience of a lifetime. And the only way to do that is to construct a story, a game that they will love and remember. When the players sit in silence in a riddle that you've made up, you wrote, you have a riddle in the game, and they're all thinking, and they're all saying, well, how do we deal with this? How do we go to the next step, to the next room? Because we're in this dungeon and the walls are just moving slowly. They're going to trap all the players in, and that door won't open. But how do they deal with that situation? And how do you, as a DM, deal with that situation as well? Because it's a situation on two fronts. The players deal with their characters, and the DM deals with the world and the things around it. And to me, when everyone's thinking and they're having conversation together on how to beat the scenario, man, you've done a great job. Tap yourself on the shoulder. And to me, a smile comes to my face from cheek to cheek. I love it. And that is role playing to me. That is very important. That's all part of role playing, and it doesn't matter if you play an OSR or D&D 5e or the white box or the games I mentioned earlier. It doesn't matter what you play, as long as everyone in the game is enjoying it and they're having a good time. And another thing that happens, and it happens well, and it just when you're in a game and someone finds an item, and it's a cool item, it's an amazing weapon, and they pull the sword out, and you hear shh, and you can see the blade and the ornate grip, the hilt, and you're looking at it, and they're amazed by it and they love it. It might be evil. It might be, something might happen to that sword, or whatever you decide to do as DM to write the story. It is. And to me, that's a wonderful moment, because players, when they find something that you put out, and you can see a smile on your face, you can see, oh man, this is a cool weapon. Wow, it's awesome, and as powerful and as deep as 5e is with their equipment and your beefiness, it's still wonderful to play. I love playing it, and it's so cool. They've got so much stuff in there, magic items, weapons, and stuff that you can explore. But if you want extreme challenge, and if you want difficulty, play the OSR, man. It's kick-ass. For lack of a term, it is. Because you go in there and you watch each other's back and you do hack and slash. It's like playing Wolfenstein. Remember that game from back in the day? Remember how difficult it was when you died? Oh, yeah. Great game, wasn't it? Yeah, it's one of those old school games. But it's the same feeling. It's that feeling of danger. It's that feeling of excitement. You're running in the tunnel or in a dungeon, and you're being chased by a wolf. A wolf may not be a big deal with the other game, but the wolf in the OSR is a big deal. That one wolf can tear you apart, and you're running. So you turn the corner, you saw a door, or you find a room, you go in the room, you close the door. Quickly as possible, you make it. The wolf goes on. Granted, the DM makes his roll. Let's say that the wolf goes on. So what do? You find yourself in a room with a bed, with a silk sheet draped over the bed. You're like, oh, not a big deal. A bed, you find some cabinets, you find clothes. Hey, it's been slept on. So now you have mystery. This is a dungeon. Somebody's been sleeping here. You see a backpack. You open up a backpack. It has rations, weapons, nothing major, but somebody has been sleeping here. And you see a trail of blood leading to another room. So then, what do? You start investigating the situation. When you have a party in an OSR and you investigate the situation, together you go to room to room. Never split up. As soon as you split up, I will tell you, you split up, you will most likely die. One player against 3 or 4 creatures in an OSR is deadly. You probably won't survive. In fact, there is no probably. You will not survive. And if you want to have a good time and you want to stay the night instead of leaving early, you stay. Just take my advice. Stay together. Go from room to room and go from there. And they're a lot of fun. And so, anyways, let me continue my scenario. So you find the trail of blood, and they make their checks and they look. Now this is the OSR, not 5e, and this is very different because you don't have like investigation or anything like that. You have your like perception. That's it. You don't have like a category of tracking, of nature, arcana, insight. You don't have all that stuff. You just have your abilities. Boop, that's it. Perception is perception. Strength is strength. Dexterity encompasses movement. Strength, a little bit of damage. Depending on what OSR, they're flipped. Dexterity might be a little bit of combat and so forth. Constitution is health and stuff like that. You get the picture. So anyways, you go to a different room. A group makes a perception roll. They look. They didn't find anything except for the bag and the trail of blood, so they follow it. They go into a different room. Well, they see a wall. They're like, there's a lead to another room. So one of the guys leaning up against the wall, you hear cum, 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 cum. The door behind that person opens. Wait a second, there was no door there. It's a wall. Oh, he was leaning up against it, and the wall, you could see the wall, and then all of a sudden, something opens, a door. So he finds a hidden doorway, and the rest of the party, they look, they don't find anything. They go through. When they go through, the door closes behind them. The person in the back wasn't watching. They all decided to go because they're freaked out. But the person in the back of the line didn't see the door close. So now they're locked in a different room. They go in a different room. They can see the lights flickering. There's torches to the left and the right of the room. It's a small room, 10 by 10, somewhere around there. And then ahead of them, they see a chest in the corner. And then they see the guy who was crouched down. He's bleeding, and he looks up. He looks a little different. Fangs extending out, blood protruding, from this section here, from the chin, from the mouth. Blood on his chest, blood everywhere. There's bodies behind him. He's been eating. He looks at you and he lunges you. So now you have a vampire. Now the party of 8 has to deal with a vampire. Remember, this is an OSR. I'm taking my party from my game into OSR. So they start fighting. So I'm going to take their levels and bring them down a bit, because let's say, to compare it to an OSR, they would be level 1, for example. That's how low they would be fighting this vampire, because you were playing an OSR, you're not playing 5e. So they would be averaging about probably 8 hit points, if that. And they're going up against this one vampire. 8 players now. Seems like a lot, doesn't it? But one vampire in an OSR can knock out half your party. Yes, it can. If done correctly, yes. Because you got to remember, they're going to be on guard. They're not going to just be like the 5e, I'm going to go deck them. No, they're going to be on guard. And what happens is they have a big battle, and that vampire is going to take at least half the party out. I'm sorry, but in an OSR, yes, it does happen. And let's say half the party dies, the other half survived. They move on, they heal, they take their friends' equipment or what they had, and they move on. That's the way it's done. But the other players make other characters. They have backup characters, because you're playing an OSR and you never know if you're going to die. And it might be quick, it might be long, it might be a day, it might be an hour, whatever. You will die. And that was just one vampire. It could be done. I mean, honestly, one guy in a very large party. Yes. Let's move on. So they kill the vampire. They move on to the next room. At this point, They found a little narrow pathway going to another location. Again, flickering lights, torches on the side of each section of the pathway, but it's very tight. So they go to an open room. It's a massive room, and it seems like a throne room. And they look around. What do they see? Again, perception. Again, they don't have investigation or anything like that. So they look, and they roll badly. Oh, this is perfect. People are like, okay, we've rested. We got a little bit of our hit points back. We're gonna go ahead and search and see what we got. So they find items. One guy says, oh, I got a backpack, but I can't fit anymore because I have all my slots taken. That's one thing about the OSR. You have your slots that are taken. You either have the drop and swap, or you can't take it. Oh, my bag, that's the equivalent of my backpack is full. I can't take anything else out. Oh, this is a stupid lantern. I don't need it. There's torches anyway. Screw that. So now you have one slot. So you see a nice little weapon there. Ooh, you grab it, put it in your backpack or in the sheath, and you're good. You move on, right? Also, too, in an OSR, everything is dangerous. And traps, oh Lord, they are extremely dangerous. So same scenario, the guy is messing with his backpack. He decides he's going to swap. He sees weapons. As soon as he grabs that weapon, darts from the side of the wall come out. He looks, one hits him in the neck, the other one in the arm, the other one in the leg. 3. DM rolls, that's 4 hit points. 4 hit points you're getting nailed for. Now remember, let's say that was my character. I had 6. Now I have 2. But I have medicine. Go. That gives me back 2 hit points. So now I have 4 out of my 6. Not bad. Oh, 8. Sorry. Half. Not bad, huh? Yeah. Don't give me that. That's horrible. My buddy and I were saying, 5e, you're heavy. You want to keep your hit points. In OSRs, you're worried about death all the time. So at this point, it's part of the game. So you're not going to be worried about that anymore. But in the back of your mind, it's lingering. I better be careful in this battle. So you take potions, you take anything healing-wise to make sure when you go to your next fight, you're ready. But I just took darts. And I realized they're poison. So the DM rolls again and hits me for another 3. So now I'm almost dead. Because the darts had poison. I didn't know that. And, shit happens, right? So now you're going to die. But this is an OSR. I have more medicine. I got 3. I took 2. I get hit points back. I'm right back up to 4 and out of 8. Okay, I'm good. We move on. The other party members found equipment. They swapped as well and go from there. So we go to the throne. We go towards the throne. The throne turns, and in the back of the throne, you can see the back. It's a gold throne. You see the back slide of it. The throne goes forward, and another room opens up. Oh, we find another room. So they go into a different room, and they see stairs going down. Right? One of the players goes down the stairs. He makes the roll. At this point, he makes a strength roll. Okay, you can say, okay, you can use dex because, strength is to hold on, but in OSRs, this is not a jumping thing. You got to hold on to what you're doing, so you use strength. So he fails the roll, and he falls. He falls, and he dies. So remember, you have 4, and you had 8 in your party. The other 4 died already by the vampire. Now you have 4. This guy fell. You have 3. See what I'm saying? They go down the ladder, not stairs, for some reason. Sorry. I fell down the stair. Oops. No, so you go down the ladder with the 3 players, and you continue on. We're still pretending to play the OSR. So now you go, the healer's left, the fighter's left, and the ranger, per se. So you move on, and you can see a long corridor, and at the end of the corridor, you can see lights. You see, lights, then multiple figures. They're moving. You don't know what's going on, so you're cautious. You move slowly. You take some time, but as you move closer and closer, you can see there are other warriors. You see 2 humans and 2 other individuals. You don't see if they're human or not. Well, you can see that they're humanoid because they stand the same height as the other humans, and they have cloaks. The 2 have cloaks on. You don't know what they are. But the other 2, you definitely know they're humans, and they're all 4 of them are talking. When they turn around, combat ensues because you pissed them off, their conversation or whatnot. Something that light. So 2 of them are archers. They go into it. Again, 1 action. None of this bonus and action surge shit. No, 1 action. So the combat is pretty quick. And the OSRs, what I like about OSRs the most is group combat. In D&D 5e and later levels, depending on what class you are, you get an extra action. Well, here, OSRs, it's always 1 action, unless specified, depending on the OSR you're playing. But normally it's 1 action, and then you're attacking. And when you attack, that's it. Even the bad guys. So you, or depending on what creature they're up against, that might have another attack. But you as a player gets 1. So you're having a big battle, and the way initiative is done is group initiative. In Maze Rats, you roll 6-sided. Whoever gets the highest goes. Simple as pie. If both of you meet the same number, 5 and 5, 4 and 4, or whatever, you re-roll until you get higher. None of this, add your modifier shit. No. Whoever's higher goes first. Once the party goes first or last or whatnot, you go. And if you have a party of 4 now, right? And they are together, and they're like, okay, who wants to go first? You choose. It's a group. You go. You go. Ranger, you go. Mage, you go. Fighter, you go. Whatever. That's the way it's done. And then the other, the opponent goes. The bad guys go. And they will either flank you or anything like that. None of this, oh, wait. You're moving past my hex. Attack of opportunity. No, you don't. You've already done your turn. It's their turn. That's the way it is. Attack of opportunity, strategically, it's really cool. It's part of, battle. But in OSRs, they don't have that. It's simple. A bad guy goes, and you go. The NPCs go, the players go. After that, then you go. There's nothing wrong with that. And here's another one. Here's what I love too. There's other OSRs where range goes first, and range is a ranger, bow, crossbow, stuff like that, and magic. If you've got anything with range, that goes first. And then melee. Melee goes last. That's the order of it. And what's cool about that is when you're doing group initiative, strategically you can say, okay, well, I want to stay put here, and you're going to go. You have a certain discussion with your team, with your party, to say strategically what you're going to do to the targets or the creatures or whatnot. So what does that say? That in 5e, for example, where you have your initiative, you have 8, 9 players, or let's say you have 4. They go roll. You got a 20. Player number 1 gets a 20, 15, 13, and 12. So there you go. That's the order of it. So if you have 8 players, they roll initiative plus whatever, and boom. The highest goes. Simple. Simple. It's great, right? Wrong. It's slow as fuck. It's slow. It drags. But if the player knows their character and they say, I'm going to do this, yada, 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 move on, go, boom, boom, boom. And then it'll be fine. My guys, sometimes a little slow, sometimes it's fast. So I applaud them for it because that's very cool. Combat can be very cumbersome. And in 5e, the initiative for each one, and I understand why they have it. Like I said before, at higher levels, those classes get certain abilities, certain things that pop up that give you extra actions or special things that make your character pop. And there's nothing wrong with that. OSR, one action, group initiative, you're done. Simple as pie. Wash your hands like Pontius Pilate and boom. That's what you do. Now, let's talk about feats. There are dozens of feats in 5e, and they're amazing. Lucky, I mentioned earlier. Tough is a very cool feat. Man, I love feats. I love feats. Now, will I use a feat for an OSR? There's no need. I mean, if you do, you might as well just play 5e. I mean, every game has a certain flavor that you love the taste. You know, and in 5e, you love feats, you love that power base. You're going to play it. You're going to play that game. And that game is going to bring you back, bring you forward, bring you to the point of no return because you are so powerful. You know, your armor, your plate armor, your sword that you carry at your side, that is 5e. I call it superhero power because that's pretty much what it is. Eldritch Blast. Come on, man. Really? Oh, geez. You have that. Then you go to an OSR. OSR, you're like, magic. And Maze Rats, my guy does intoxicating, what was it? Intoxicating clay. And if I'm at melee level, I could poison the target by touching them, or small tentacles come out in a very minute way. It's very odd, but it just does happen. You don't need to roll, it happens. That's an OSR. And it's fun. Magic is magic. It'll just happen. But you get once, it will happen once. I think, don't quote me on this because I'm new to that game. So it's once, and I believe for once a game or once a 24-hour rest or something like that. I don't know, but it's once. You can only do it once. And once you use it, you use it. But if you want to poison somebody, you can go ahead and do it. And that's what makes a game enticing. What brings you back to an OSR. Now, what brings you back to, I know I said a lot about the OSR, and I'm a big OSR advocate. And you know what? I love them to death. But I also like 5e. I know it sounds like I was busting on 5e, but I'm really not. I love 5e. My channel is part of 5e. So with that being said, 5e to me is a great system. 2014. I am going to have a show, DM Talk, to talk about the 2024 changes and stuff like that. I know other YouTubers came out on it, and they came out in extensive detail on each class and so forth. What's the difference between 2014 and 2024 version. Now, all that set aside, what do I love about 5e? The 2014 version. I love the feats. Love feats. I love the character classes. I know some of them are a little broken. Some of them are OP or whatnot. It doesn't matter. They're cool. The fighter class is fun. Rogue class is fun. Cleric Druid is fun. You know, there's a dozen subclasses, and they're going to take away a lot of that for the 2024 version. But I love 5e. Can't get anything better than that. Can't get any better than that. Now, if you love high fantasy, if you want to run a high fantasy game, 5e is for you. If you want to run these extraordinary monsters and these powerful player characters that come out with the sword and wipe out dozens with one swipe, that's 5e. That's fun. You're epic, you're heroes or villains, but that is 5e. But if you want a challenge, if you want to die quick, and if that's your forte, play an OSR. Play any, all of them, really. Play the white box, Dungeons and Dragons. If you want to stick D&D, you can. Just go to the white box. That's a very dangerous game. I've played it, and you can die very quickly. But I wanted to tell you guys tonight about OSRs and D&D 5e because, like I said, my buddy and I were talking about this subject, but he was talking about what brings everybody to 5e. And that gave me an idea. I'm like, that's a great topic for DM talk, you know, but I threw in the OSR thing to add some flavor because OSRs are very, very, very cool. But just remember, OSRs are for old guys, not just for old guys. I know I said for old guys, but they're not just for older guys. They're for everybody. And if you love to be challenged, play OSR. Try them out. And if you know a DM and you got a table and friends to go to, say, hey man, let's try an OSR. Let's try something a little different. And everybody's going to love it. Now, some people won't. They might say, I'm just going to stick with 5e. And that's fine too. So just stick with guys or friends that can say, you guys could come up as a whole and say, hey, let's try something different. Let's try an OSR. I guarantee you guys will love it. Now, I mentioned two of them, the Black Hack and Into the Odd. Check them out. They're very cool. And Maze Rats. I'm playing Maze Rats hopefully within a week or two. And I will come back on here on DM Talk to tell you what my experience was in that. Because I'm playing with a very good DM, Anthony Yanis. He's very, very good. And he brings one hell of a story, which I'm there for. Hopefully my guy won't die. But one can only hope. But either way, that's all I got for you tonight. Stay with us next week, 8 p.m. Central, July 20th. Stay here with Playerole. Subscribe, like, share. Let everybody know about our channel. And, you know, we are a bunch of guys that love playing games. And, you know, just check us out. Tell me what you think of us in the comments. You know, I could take it, thoughts, everything in general, and just let me know. Let me know if you like the channel, what needs to be changed, or tell me, hey, you guys are D&D, you're doing a great job. Just let me know in the comments. Anyways, I love you guys. I will see you later.